Good evening, Stanton. This is Bullish, and we are coming to you from our SC Wealth Corp booth on the 47th floor of YTech Towers here in Central Area 18. I am your host, the King of Cargo, the Czar of Commodities, your hauling hero, Sandy Claus. And this is your one-stop place where we talk about all things cargo hauling, commodities, and trading. If you can throw it in the back of a ship and sell it, we talk about it. Man, I tell you what, I am excited about this show tonight. I have wanted to talk about this new commodity for a while. In fact, we may have found the new top commodity out there. Yes, that's right. We may be displacing titanium from its throne. The king is dead. Long live the king. As always, when it comes to our deep dives into specific commodities, we will break it down into three categories: the current state of it, the routes, and the locations. And for the first time, by request from some of my less than legal listeners, I will be adding a where to snare segment with our route section. That's right, where to snare. Along with discussing the best place to sell those crates that may have happened to fall off the back of a loading dock somewhere. I hope you were able to catch the previous show where we discussed titanium, because we're going to use those numbers from titanium as our baseline when judging other commodities. So if you didn't, it's not the end of the world. You'll still be able to understand and everything we're going over tonight. However, you miss out on an opportunity to compare your stats and test your ledgers. Link to that show will be placed at the end of this one on your mobiGlas, so check that one out, please. But before we get into our new fastest money maker out there in Stanton, let's hear from tonight's sponsor, SC Wealth Corp. Space is lonely, but that doesn't mean you have to be alone. Stop the grind, find a community.
This episode of Bullish is brought to you by our good friends at SC Wealth Corp. Stop the grind, find a community. At SC Wealth Corp, you will find a vast variety of events with massive rewards, huge lottery-sized giveaways, and the unique casino. So come hang out, try your luck, and win some aUEC, but more importantly, find a solid community. They offer 1 million aUEC just for joining the Discord channel. That's right, no strings attached. Just join the Discord channel. And for those wishing to skip the grind, they offer safe, risk-free aUEC purchase options, so you can jump straight into the Star Citizen action. SC Wealth Corp. Stop the grind. Find a community. Link to the Discord is below in the description.
Thank you, SC Wealth Corp, for your continued support in keeping Bullish going. Let's jump straight into it, because when we talked about titanium, we spent a lot of time in the location category, but tonight a vast amount of our time will actually be in this first category about the current state. I hate labeling any commodity as the quote-unquote the best, because markets fluctuate and there's no telling what the best will be next. However, Beryl is unbelievable right now, and if you can swing it, I say this commodity is where you should be focusing your attention if you want to see super high credit profits. While Beryl is great, every commodity, every route is really dependent on where you are financially, your time constraints, etc. Maybe you just hate arccorp area. Well, then this commodity might not be the best for you. We're now going to get into the stats, comparing Beryl and titanium, and I want you to decide which was better for you. The first stat I like to look at is the profit margin. I'm not going to explain in detail what each stat really means, but profit margin is a good place to start in judging your risk rewards. Me personally, I do not recommend ever trading in any commodity at or below 15%. Barring some exceptions, when you get into the higher quantity ships, like the whole D and stuff like that, the whole C, where quantity outrules quantity overrules quality. So here we go. We learned titanium has jumped from 22.2% to now selling between 30.8 and 32.7%, right? So big jump in titanium. Beryl, on the other hand, is down around 16.7 and 17.7%. So right off the bat, you might be saying, I thought Beryl was better. And you would be right if we only look at this one stat. But let's pick apart the other stats and tease this out a little bit more. The next thing I look at is the net profit, because let's be honest, this is what we really care about. How many credits will I make? How much will my profits go up? And how much will my wallet increase? The net profit for titanium hovered around 115,000. And here's where it gets awesome. Net profit for Beryl for 3 runs that I did was 312,000, 323,000, and 338,000. That's right, almost 3 times the profit of titanium. See, if we just looked at the one stat alone, like profit margin, we would assume titanium was better. But as you can tell, net profit changes that as well. Next, I look at the gross expense, or sometimes referred to as the initial investment. Basically what we spend to fill our ships up, right? Titanium, remember, has dropped to roughly around $240,000 to fill up a C2. This new wonder mineral, Beryl, it cost $1.5 million to fill up. Yeah, oof is the right response to that number. That's a big difference from 240 to 1.5 mil. This falls into that old adage, it takes money to make money. So the advice I would give to anyone is that once you get over that 1 million investment cost, you never spend more than half of your wallet on any investment. Under $1 million, I'm not so much worried. It doesn't take long to get back up to 240,000 to start running titanium again. But 1.5 million is a big steep jump. At a minimum, if you're going to run Beryl, I highly encourage you to have at least 3 million in the bank before you run this stuff. Next stat. Now let's go over RRT. Our titanium runs take on an average around 18 minutes, and our average Beryl runs are taking around 31 minutes. Now, there is a route out there that takes around 12 to 15, and another one around 18 minutes, but at a really reduced net profit, and is known as kind of like the biggest pirated routes out there right now. So, yikes. I'll explain more in the next segment when we go over routes. For now, just understand that you can basically get 2 runs out of titanium for every 1 Beryl run. With this in mind, we can knock off some of that luster, that shine off of earning 330,000 per run, right? When in theory, you can make about 230,000 in profit off of titanium in the same amount of time as 1 Beryl run. Now you have to wonder, is risking 1.5 million worth that extra only 100K in profit? It's up to you. So up to this point, we have bounced back and forth between which commodity is better. Profit margin, titanium. Net profit, Beryl. Investment cost, titanium. RRT, titanium. Maybe Beryl, depending on the run. Now let's go over the one stat I believe is the most important when determining if a route is the quote-unquote good route to do. And that is our POT. That's right. Profit over time tells me how many credits I'm earning per minute of an activity. Before the massive market shakeup we were seeing now, I kept telling you that if our unicorn POT that we tried to shoot for was any activity where you were earning over 6,000 per minute. Titanium is still trending slightly above that now at around 6 to 6,500 credits per minute. Beryl, on the other hand, I've seen it as low as 10,000 in some runs to almost 13,000 credits per minute. This just blows titanium out of the water when it comes to POT. And this is why I say Beryl is now the new king commodity. This is just a staggering difference where you will make almost double per minute running Beryl than you will titanium. All right, I told you that the segment was going to be long, and I know it's a lot of numbers, but we really breaking down the stats is very important when determining your routes. When we come back from our break, we'll jump into the routes and our very new Where to Snare segment.
Attention, would Thomas Higashi please report to the recovery ward nurse station? Thomas Higashi.
Hi, it's Felicity from Dusty Skies and Dragonflies. Many of you don't know that before I was a touring singer-songwriter, I was a paramedic. So I'm very happy Anvil Aerospace introduced the C8R Pisces. I can tell you from experience that it will save countless lives in the verse.
Medical Pisces will go everywhere. We'll go everywhere when you need care. You can be assured your rescue is clear. So do not have fear. C8R is here. Rest in the Pisces. Lie down, won't you please? As we tend to all your injuries. Medical Pisces, efficient design. What's your vital signs to keep you alive?
Anvil, rise above.
Okay, let's get into those routes. There are a lot of routes for Beryl, and it really depends mainly on how far you want to travel and how much you want to pay up front. The Shubin South 5 and Lyria to either Lorville or Orson routes are probably the most common, since South 5 is usually known as the cheapest place to purchase Beryl. And Orson and Lorville are being the number 1 and number 2 respective in the best selling places, right? Both routes have an RRT somewhere in between the ballpark of 30 to 32 minutes. Fluctuation time comes from how lucky you are at the buying terminal. South 5 does not have a very large inventory, so you are going to have to wait at a minimum 1 restock. I've had one time where I had to wait 4 restocks to fill my C2. It's just the nature of South 5. You should net for these runs from South 5 to either Lorville or Orson in the ballpark of $320,000 going from South 5 to Lorville, and about $335,000 net profit going to Orson. All right, so good routes. Another good route that gives you the option to reduce your RRT to 18 minutes is buying from HDMS Rider on IDA and selling it in Lorville. The travel to Orson increases this RRT to about 22 minutes, but the increased net profit might be worth it for you. Selling in Lorville from Rider nets a decreased amount at $240,000. But hey, that's double titanium for almost the same amount of time. And in Orson, it's also decreased, but decreased down to about $280,000 for an extra couple minutes. However, the lower RRT makes this route kind of appealing to me. Plus, the inventory at Rider is near the top in Stanton, and we'll go over that when we get into the location section on how much is actually at Rider compared to South 5. The third route that I personally have not done yet is buying from SMO 10 or 22 in Microtech area and selling that at Lorville or Orson. I know some people sell it at New Babbage so they can reduce their RRT to 12 minutes if you park at the Commons instead of the Paceport. However, New Babbage posts some of the lowest buying prices. It's staggeringly low. Plus, it has the highest piracy of all the routes. So really, you're sacrificing your net profit, which can be almost half, for just that quick turn of your ships. So that's the appeal of that route. So now, I'm really excited about this one. Let's do where to snare. All right, all you nefarious types out there, let's go over where to set up your snares. Leaving Lyria and heading towards Hurston, you should drop out around 1,947,000 kilometers to up to about 2,000 out from Hurston. That is your range where you can set up. If you're looking to snatch people headed to Orson, you just stop between 3,600,000 to 14,900 kilometers from Crusader. So a really big window. The third route at Microtech, of course, cannot be snared because it's going from Microtech proper to New Babbage. So you have to do it the old school here way. Boarding them, disabling their ship, whatever you do. You got to go old school with the Microtech routes. To catch those leaving the Microtech, Calliope and Microtech proper for Hurston, look for a snare window of 752,000 to 2,000 out from Hurston. Or if it's from Microtech to Orson, you can set up your snare between 1,125,000 to 14,900 kilometers. So bigger windows. I think that's going to be a very low chance of catching people there, just because that's a long distance and I don't see a lot of haulers doing that route. But take a chance, who knows? Now, I know I was talking to our pirate listeners out there, but for you haulers, with this much invested, you really should be zigzagging your routes and not flying directly anywhere. So if you get snared because you didn't plan properly, that's on you. Pay your fee to the pirates and go about your day. After the break, we're going to quickly go over buying and selling locations to include the top spot to sell barrel boxes that happen to kind of fall off the back of the loading dock. I won't go over every place you can sell, just to protect the pirates and those, but I will talk about the top place. So see you after the break.
From our origins in the North Block of New Junction on Low in the Coral System to our recently opened flagship store at Orison and Stanton, Cousin Crow's Custom Craft have seen it all. We first made headlines around the verse in 2942 when we modified an old Genesis Starliner into the ultimate party ship. Not long after, Drake Interplanetary partnered with us to create the Kraken Privateer, and in 2944 Crusader Industries called upon us to offer customer-specified official conversions for branded Starliners, offering a wide selection of component upgrades as well as our Galaxy-famous custom paint jobs. Cousin Crows can upgrade ships and vehicles of any size or shape. If you're bored with the mundane, then come to us and change your game. We've come a long way since those early days in North Block, but we like August, Dumlo, and Crusader, never forgotten where we came from. Fly with flair and flavor, whether it's your transport or your home. We have everything you need to make your ship or vehicle truly your own. Cousin Crow's is located on Orison's Providence Industrial Platform in the atmosphere of Crusader in the Stanton system. So come on down and watch us in action. Cousin Crow's, so much fun. It shouldn't be illegal.
All right, let's get into the places. We're going to start off with where you can buy Beryl and their prices. Then we'll go over where to sell and their prices, along with an in-depth look into the inventory capacity at each place. For time's sake, I will at least go over the top 3 of each and the top 1 for each planet system. So I'll tell you the top 3 places to buy from, and I'll at least hit one place for every system. So Hurston, Crusader, ArcCorp, and Microtech. At least talk about one place, even if it's not that great. So Shubin South 5 on Lyria ArcCorp is currently the cheapest place to purchase Beryl at about $22.59 per unit. So $2,259 per unit, but it also has the smallest inventory out there of only 500 SCU. That's why I told you you're going to have to wait for the restocks. They restock kind of in the middle pack of every place at 50 SCU per refresh. It's not great, but it is in the middle of the road. Next, cheapest place will be Shubin SMC 8 on Calliope and Microtech, and it's at 2,286, and also has a very small inventory of 800, and restocks at a very terrible 6 per minute. So you might be able to fill up your C2 right off the go, but if not, you're going to be sitting there a long time to refill. The third cheapest is Shubin SMO 10 on Microtech also. Proper, not a Microtech itself, at 2,288 per unit. It's tied for the highest inventory at 30,000 SCU and restocks the fastest at 347 per minute. So, as you can tell, we didn't list Crusader place. However, the best place to purchase Beryl here is ArcCorp 141 on Daymar, and it goes for 2,292 per SCU. Inventory here is also low at 800 with a terrible restock rate again of 6. We also didn't mention Hurston, but HDMS Rider sells Beryl at 2,315 per unit, but has a massive inventory of 30,000 and is also tied for the highest restock rate of 347. There's a lot more places that actually sell Beryl, but once you start getting down there, your net profit's so low, your profit margins are lower. It's just not worth doing it, not risking 1.5 million. As far as where to sell, Orison pays the most at 2,806 per unit and has a capacity of 35,000 with a clearing rate of 425 a minute. Next best place to sell is Lorville. It pays at 2,703, which is still about 100 less than Orison, with the same inventory and clear rate as Orison. Our third place to sell is Area 18 at 2,661. And while Area 18 is slightly less capacity at 30,000, its clear rate is crazy high. It clears at 5,000. So you'll always be able to sell at Area 18. New Babbage is dog. It's horrible. Worst place to sell, as mentioned before. Its buying price is 2,546. Barely enough to cover even your cost. And last but not least, for people who happen to come across some Beryl unknowingly and need to sell it, the top spot is Reclamation and Disposal Orinth on Hurston, where they will buy it at 2,381. They also have an inventory space of 500 SCU and can clear their stock at 20 per minute. So you run the risk of also showing up there and not being able to sell because they're at capacity. That's it. So is Beryl the new king? Is it taken over from Titanium? Who knows? Is Sal 5 the best place to purchase? A lot of this really depends on what you're willing to risk and how far you want to travel. Titanium, I believe, will always be the stable earner, and you'll never go wrong with doing titanium, and you'll never get in trouble if something goes bad. But if you want that higher risk, higher reward, then you got to go for Beryl. Next time, we're going to go over Laranite and see if the rumors of it being awesome are correct. My initial research so far says no. Yes, it is better, about 3 times better, but not worth doing again. So thank you guys again. I hope you guys get out there and get Beryl. I hope you have enough to start running it. I think it's a great commodity to run if you can afford it. But if you're not willing to risk it, titanium will always be there waiting for you if you want to do it. As always, thank you for listening, and I will catch you next time.